What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very special boot review for you today. It is the Speedportal.1. All right, fam, moving into the unboxing of the Speedportal.1. Before we actually unbox the boots, one note to think about these is they are slightly more similar to the Plus variation than the previous generation was. Previous generation featured a completely different upper construction, and it was slightly different in the way that it fitted, especially in the forefoot and midfoot area. I actually found the laceless model, the Plus variation of the Speedflow, to be much more comfortable than the laced variation, even though I wore them in a few training sessions. But to be fair, we'll see actually how these ones fit compared to the laced model. If you haven't seen the lace review of the Speedportal Plus, definitely go check that out. So, new box for Adidas for the non-Plus variations. They are moving towards the End Plastic Waste campaign, which is fantastic. So you've got this silver box and you've got that End Plastic Waste campaign logo here. Plus you've got a little thing in a couple different languages that says made with recycled material, which is awesome. So this box actually, ironically enough, is, I think, an upgrade. It looks much better than the old regular Adidas model boxes that were just black with the Adidas logo on it. I think these are actually way cooler looking. And these are a little copycat of the Nike Elite model boxes that we've seen in most Nike places, right? So that silver kind of shine box. This one's a matte finish, but it's got these little ridges, which is cool. But anyway, the box isn't why you guys are here. So Adidas logo there, Adidas logo on the corner, Adidas logo here. And of course, these are in my size 9 US. This is in Adidas, a UK 8.5. So that's just something to keep in mind. Let's get straight into the unboxing and we'll get this up. All right, so a little piece of paper here, which we'll throw on the floor, and we'll open these right up. Oh my goodness. Okay, very, very similar in construction and shape and material to the Plus model, which you guys have seen. The same sole plate. This is the FG variation, just with the laces, right? So it's a little bit of a different construction, but it definitely looks absolutely beautiful. I don't really know, to be honest, if I fancy the laced model versus the laceless model and how they look. They're so wildly similar. The last generation of Speed boot really wasn't the Speedflow. They were so different. I thought the laced model looked better. I almost think these ones look better than the laced model in this generation, which is kind of cool. I like that Adidas is switching it up a little bit, making the silos look a little bit different. We're going to talk about the tech specs in just a sec, but that's like a great first look into what these boots look like. Let's get the second one out of the box. Per usual Adidas fashion, you don't get the string bag that you get with the Plus variation, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you are only here for the string bag, this is not the review. Go check out the Plus model. So anyway, thoughts there. So there you go. So here is the 0.1 variation, and I'm going to take the laces are actually in here, and then I'm going to take the little piece of plastic out just so we can get a sense of how soft the upper is. I haven't actually, this is the first time I've seen these particular boots in person. I'm very, very stoked. I think this green colorway looks super cool. We'll get into the tech specs in just a sec, but definitely a little more plasticky than, they're soft for sure, but as you can hear, right? So I'm doing that on purpose, but I'm trying to illustrate that these are slightly more stiff than the Plus variation, and more similar. It's like a cross between Speedflow 0.1 and Ghosted 0.1 in the sense of how that kind of matte, waxy, plasticky sensation, but they're less plasticky for sure than the Ghosted. So I am curious to know how these fit and feel on feet once we get socks and out on the pitch especially. So a couple things to note about these. So this is a synthetic upper with the prime knit kind of combined, and you've got some texturing on the lateral side and the medial side of the boot, very similar to the Plus variation. So we'll look at that really quick. There's on that medial side, you've got texturing all along where you strike the ball, usually the most. So that instep, that midfoot area, and you've got it all along there. It's just a little bit of extra texturing, nothing like a demon spikes or anything like that from the Predator line, like previous Predator lines, but it definitely gives you a little bit of texture, which is kind of nice in a boot that's fairly straightforward and doesn't have a lot of distractions. Same thing on that lateral side right here. It's just in a little section down in the midfoot area and into almost where the heel is, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it looks cool for sure. And then it blends sort of into this graphic moving up into the forefoot area, which is a nice touch as well. All kind of this lizard lime green with your 3 stripes. You've got your X logo on the back, and then you've got end plastic waist on the inside. There you go, with that world logo on the inside of that insole, which is cool. So one thing that differentiates this from the Plus model is that this one is definitely a little bit more plasticky, and we did see that for sure on the Speedflow models. That's one complaint that I had. Even though it was incredibly comfortable, I tend to prefer a knitted upper just because it molds to your foot like a sock, and it really does a good job of making sure that your foot is totally into the boot wrapped tightly. So whereas this one, there were some weird spots where the material didn't kind of suction up to my foot, and so I had these weird areas where there was extra material that would bunch up or things like that. So I'm hoping that these fix it, because I do think these look incredible. And as far as performing boots, the 0.1 Speedflows were one of the best performing boots on the market as well. I know a lot of people who loved them, who play for my club here in Rochester, New York. And then of course, I wore the Plus variation. So it's amazing, it's a really cool tech piece of boot. I just hope that they make the improvements that I think they, at least selfishly for my foot type and hopefully for yours as well. The other big change that they made, 2 other big changes. One is in the heel and then one is in the sole plate. So the heel is much more standard looking, right? So you don't have that little piece that goes kind of a little bit higher, but they've also added these really big plush pads on the inside of the heel, kind of where your Achilles, like would wrap your Achilles. Your Achilles would fit kind of right in between those pads. And then these pads are supposed to really do a good job of making sure that your foot doesn't slip in and out of the boots. One thing I'm really disappointed in Adidas for doing that I'm noticing right now is that compared to the Plus model, this is just a suede liner, whereas the Plus model actually had some sticky elements that went on, I don't know if they were plastic or something, that went on the inside on top of the suede liner. So you had kind of both a combination of that suede liner plus a little bit of those plasticky elements. Maybe it's because they assume that with the laces tied tight, these shouldn't have any sort of issues with lockdown, but that's one thing that I am a little bit annoyed that they didn't just put that on the 0.1, excuse me, these ones are the 0.1s, the 0.1s as well. So that's kind of the big change in the heel area. It goes away from those 2 little pods that were on either side, and now it's just massive padding on either side, which looks a bit chunky for sure, but I think it will make for a really really good lockdown in the heel area. So that way, when you can utilize all of that responsiveness from the sole plate. Now, the new edition of the Speed frame includes these stability wings on the back, which I'll talk about in a second, but it's a very similar construction. They've only added 1 little stud here in that little chevron arrow shape stud right in the toe area. Everything else is pretty much the same, with either bladed in the rear or you've got, you know, half chevron studs in the lateral and medial side moving up here, and then that stud that was in the last model here, which is more of a chevron stud in that middle area. The other thing that's happened is the Karbatex Insert now runs from the toe area all the way down towards where the heel is and into these stability wings. So it's a 1-piece carbon fiber piece, right? The Karbatex. And what that does is it's a little bit flatter. As you can see, the boot's actually not as arced in the toe area, right? So it used to almost, let's see if I can bend it a little bit. It used to almost be like that, right? So almost like a track spike. Now it's definitely much flatter. And what that does is when you do go for full energy return, like I'm actually, this is like proper effort that I'm putting in to try and bend this. It really does give you an insane amount of snapback. I mean, that's really impressive for the amount of snapback from a Karbatex Insert, which is awesome. Now, moving to the stability wings, these stability wings are the pieces of the carbon fiber. As you can see, they kind of come a little bit on the outside of where this, the plastic from the frame of the sole plate comes. And what these are supposed to do is these are supposed to, similar to a heel counter, It's just these two wings basically that are supposed to go on either side of your heel so that your heel isn't moving back and forth this way inside of the heel cup, right? So that's what creates blisters. When you're turning and you're pivoting and your heel goes further than the boot does, that's when you get the rotation on the inside and it really creates blisters, okay? So that's kind of what happens there. That's the update on the sole plate, and that's sort of exactly what happens with this boot in general. So it's definitely an upgrade. I will rephrase. It's definitely a change. I'm not sure if it's an upgrade. That's gonna have to be decided out on the pitch when I go and get it on feet. What it feels like, is there enough width in the midfoot for me and wider footed players, and also is it available for players who have a little bit of a thinner foot as well, which I assume it will, just because that's the way most speed boots are designed. But these look really promising. I think they've done a really good job with the design of these. It's simple, there's not a lot of BS going on, just a little yellow along that side, right? A little bit of yellow there, and then mostly this lizard or Hulk green, which I think is really cool. So very sweet boots. I'm really looking forward to having these on feet. So without further ado, let's hop into the on feet portion of the video, and I'll get the ball involved and I'll explain what the sizing is like. Do these fit better than Speedflow.1? And of course, we'll kind of get into more nuanced things about how the fit is and whether or not they would be suitable to wear in a game or training session on my end. Sort of a personal preference, but I think it is valuable information for you guys to have. Let's get it. Okay, fam, so I just spent an entire 3 minutes explaining what these feel like on feet without the camera recording. So let me reiterate. I've got them on feet. I will show you footage right now of me putting them on, and it's not gonna be lined up just because the audio wasn't captured. Anyway, long story short, you're not gonna really notice any difference. They are absolutely crushing my feet right now. And, ooh, ladybug. Hey, that's fun. It's good luck, right? So these are not nearly as comfortable, in my opinion, as the Plus variation. The lockdown in the heel is definitely much better. You can feel it. It's definitely tighter and a lot more secure, in my opinion, than the Speedflow.1. But I cannot get over how tight these are in the midfoot. Like, especially in this middle area, I am absolutely getting crushed right now. I do not feel like these are going to be a boot that I wear at all. And I'm looking forward to not having these in a training session. And I know I'm being kind of negative right out of the bat, but I got to be honest with you guys, and this is definitely not a boot that I see myself wearing for anything, just because they are so bloody tough. So touch on the ball is really good. To be fair, the upper is really nice. It's super thin, and it does give you a good one-to-one sensation with the ball. I wouldn't say they're the thinnest boots on the market. I think I like the new Vapor Touch a little bit better than these, but I like the Plus model of these better than both of those shoes. So that gives you kind of a hierarchy. The Vapors are fantastic. These are also really good, but they are a little bit stiff out of the box. So I don't know if I would upgrade to from your Speedflow to these, but I think the Plus variation of the Speed Portal is better slightly than the Speedflow Plus. So but it's just personal preference. That's just my thing. But overall, I think these look really cool. I definitely like the green color. I like the silo. I think it looks really nice. The sole plate is excellent. It comes down to personal preference, whether you like this one or you like the Air Zoom, and that's kind of the best sole plate. The new Pumas are coming out really soon, and I'll have those in the next couple weeks, hopefully. So you'll see those on the channel as well. We'll get a really good kind of best speed boot on the market video going. But as far as, ooh, hello, wasp. God dang, bugs are everywhere today. No thank you. I don't want to be stung. But as far as fit and feel, again, I'm gonna actually get out of these. I know this is sort of a shorter on feet portion, but these are really killing my feet right now. and they are way too thin, and I do not see them breaking in that much for wide-footed players. So if you are a wide-footed player and you want the Speed Portal, go with the plus variation, not the 0.1, because these are really hurting my feet right now. So I'm gonna get out of them. If you guys do enjoy content like this and you like the brand new boots, definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.